Are you ready to have your mind blown? I'm Erick Wendel and I've recreated the Node.js project from scratch, uncovering some shocking truths along the way and published it here on this channel. Think you know everything about Node.js in JavaScript? Think again. In this video, I'm going to reveal the top 5 myths about Node.js that you thought you knew, but you didn't. Get ready for some mind-bending concepts that will change the way you think about this powerful JavaScript runtime. From uncovering hidden features to debunking common misconceptions, I'm gonna separate the faction from fiction and unleash the truth. Are you ready? Grab a drink and let's begin! Attention! Before you dive into this mind-blowing video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join my Telegram channel. Why? Because you don't want to miss out on any of the incredible topics I'll be covering in the future. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single one. And if you are feeling extra supportive, show me some love by giving this video a thumbs up and leaving a comment below with your suggestions for what you want to see next. Your support means everything for me, and I'm committed to bringing you the best tech content out there. So, thank you for choosing watching my video and get ready to blown away. Let's do this! SetInterval and Console are not part of JavaScript. The functions setTimeout, setInterval, and Console are not JavaScript. They are in fact functions that every runtime implements it by convention. It's part of a working group that defines a common standard API for all runtimes to follow it. In Node.js, for example, a console.log function is just an abstraction to the C++ printf function. Look at this example I used on my tutorial recreating Node.js. It's a C++ function that is bound to the JavaScript global environment, and then you can call it from a JavaScript function. So when you call this specific function from your JavaScript code, it magically works as if it was part of JavaScript. On Chrome, it's an internal function on the browser. The same happens to all browsers or JavaScript runtimes. The setTimeout and setInterval follow the same approach. They are C++ functions, and in Node.js, libuv is responsible for handling timers. Timers rely on the environment, and anything that you call from JavaScript that relies on environment usually are external functions. In Node.js, setTimeout and setInterval are abstractions to the libuv timers, which make internal calls to the operating system APIs. All features that exist in JavaScript are defined by the ECMAScript specification. Anything apart it would be specific to the execution environment JavaScript is being executed. This means that if Node.js wanted to call it print instead of console.log, it wouldn't have been breaking the ECMAScript specs. 2. Promises are in the JavaScript spec. This means they would never depend on the environment in that JavaScript is being executed. The common misconception is to think that promises are asynchronous operations. Promises are a way to handle async operations and provide a mechanism for handling the results of those operations once they are completed. They allow you to write asynchronous code that looks and behaves like synchronous code, making it easier to read and maintain it. In fact, promises are designed to work specifically with asynchronous code. When you create a promise, you are essentially saying, this operation might take some time to complete, but when it does, here's what I want to do with the result. In fact, they are just an abstraction to make it easier to work with callbacks internally. Check this out. Here, I created an object that wraps a callback function with a promise object. The timeout function was built on the C++ side, and the promise object is JavaScript. The timeout function I created, the async function that schedules the function to be executed in the future, receives a callback as a parameter. So the C++ function will call the given callback function. And then on the JavaScript side, it will call the reserve function, and we can use async await keywords to render results once they are completed. Now you know why simply putting a for loop inside a promise object doesn't make it asynchronous. What makes asynchronous operations in Node.js is the libuv calls. JavaScript is not a single-threaded or a multi-threaded language. JavaScript is grammar. It's what the V8 engine uses to translate a string to C++ object instances. Threading is an operating system concept, which means it depends on which environment you're executing your code. That's why if you want to use threading on browsers, you use the Web Workers API. On Node.js, you use the Worker Threads module. Two different approaches and two different APIs. Not related to the language at all. Just a quick break now. I've released my first training course in English. As the only course on the market that covers JavaScript strings in depth, this training program is unlike anything you've ever seen before. From the basics to advanced concepts, you explore every nook and cranny of this powerful tool, unlock its full potential, and discovering how it can change how you write JavaScript code. With this course, the sky is the limit. Check the video description for the training page. Also, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and check out my website where I gather all the training courses I've launched. There's a lot of information that can help you, and of course, many free content for you. Node.js is a multi-threaded platform. Some folks were complaining that Node.js wasn't multi-threaded, but actually, it's been using a thread pool since the day one. The thread pool, also known as the libv worker pool, has a bunch of threads that are used to handle heavy tasks like file system APIs, cryptography, and DNS. The thing is, these threads were only used internally in the runtime, and it wasn't available until recently that the worker threads module was added to the public API. So now, developers can use them in their own application and take the advantage of Node.js multi-threading capabilities. Overall, Node.js is a beast of a technology that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it. And with the thread pool and worker threads module, it's got even more muscle to flex. The event loop is single-threaded, and that's what makes it special. Back in 2009, the world of web development was expanding with new technologies and frameworks emerging left to right. At the time, languages such as Java and C# were popular choices for building web applications. However, they had a significant drawback when it came to handle large numbers of concurrent users. These languages used a blocking I/O module and heavyweight threads to handle individual requests, which often led to performance bottlenecks and memory issues when dealing with multiple concurrent connections. To handle many concurrent users, these languages would reserve a large amount of memory, causing services to use 80% of the available memory most of the time. When usage spiked, they would quickly reach 100% and had to scale up rapidly. Moreover, threading had to be carefully managed to ensure that two operations wouldn't change the same memory address at the same time, a problem known as deadlock. In this rapidly changing landscape, a new technology emerged that promised to tackle these issues and revolutionize web development as we knew it. This technology was Node.js. Node.js was designed from the ground up to handle large numbers of concurrent connections in real-time web applications. With Node.js, developers could build real-time web applications that were more scalable, efficient, and responsive than ever before. In a world where web development was constantly evolving, Node.js became a shiny beacon of innovation and change. It allowed developers to tackle the challenges of concurrency head-on and build applications that could handle the demand of modern users with ease. The Node.js Concurrency module is game-changing as it doesn't need to reserve memory for each client. The Node.js Concurrency module, which is based on an event-driven, non-blocking I/O module, was considered better than the concurrency modules of C# and Java back in 2009 for several reasons. Non-blocking I/O. Unlike traditional languages, Node.js uses a non-blocking I/O module and lightweight event loops to handle requests. This allowed it to handle a large number of concurrent connections without blocking the execution of other tasks and without consuming excessive memory. This is a contrast to the blocking I/O module used by C# and Java, which can lead to performance bottlenecks when handling multiple concurrent connections. Lightweight processes. Node.js uses lightweight processes, known as event loops, to handle requests, which are more efficient than heavyweight threads used by C# and Java. This allows Node.js to handle a larger number of requests with less overhead. asynchronous programming. Additionally, Node.js encourages asynchronous programming, which allows developers to write more efficient and responsive code that could handle multiple tasks in parallel without blocking the main thread. Real-time web applications. Node.js was designed especially for building real-time web applications, which require a high degree of concurrency and low latency communication between the server and client. Overall, the Node.js concurrency module was seen as more efficient and scalable solution for handling concurrent connections and real-time web applications compared to the concurrency modules of C# and Java back in 2009. That's it for today. Let me know in the comments which of the things I told you today has impressed you the most. And if you want to see more content like this, keep an eye on the playlist on this channel, as there is new content in Portuguese and English every week. And of course, subscribe to the channel. I hope this content has exceeded your expectations. I'm Erick Wendel, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm Erick Wendel. I've created uncovering again some shocking truths, little 5 myths about mode. Think you know about any caralho, that you thought you knew about. Get ready to debunking comma me escapa. As a separate fun fact, de novo. Ih, foi 2 vezes. Pera aí, beleza. Tinha get ready 2 vezes. Vou fazer de novo essa parte, melhor. libuv is responsible for café. Breaking the ECMAScript specific. Depends on which environment we are. Unlocking its full potential and discovering when dealing with multiple fazer de novo. In a world where web developers we're all really wrong. Tongue twister. Oh my god.